What up, YouTube? It's your boy Banks, and we back in the building. You feel me? It's True Talks, cause True Talks. All right, let's get straight right into it. So you already know, obviously, the season is starting today. The season is starting today. We got, back-to-back games. Obviously, the Bucks are home and they're gonna get their ring, right, with the Nets on the road, obviously. And that's something to obviously watch, because we know what happened the last time they played. It was obviously a Game 7 situation, and it being that was definitely beautiful. We already know how KD's foot was on the line, and people are saying that the Bucks escaped luckily and all that type of stuff. So NBA did good with the scheduling in terms of put in them facing each other, right? The Nets versus the Bucks. So obviously we got a ring, get in the ring and all that type of stuff and showing their manner. And that's going to be great for Milwaukee, obviously, especially since where they were a year ago to where they are now is a big jump, right? A big jump for real. And then obviously now after that, the nightcap, we got the Warriors and the Lakers, right? We got the Warriors and the Lakers. The Lakers are obviously home. And in this situation, there's no Clay, right? And for the Nets also, too, there's no Kyrie. But, what's going on over there right now. They're figuring that out. He's not going to be there for a minute. That's a huge difference. But they still got KD and they still got Harden and the rest of them, right? Aldridge, Blake, Patty Mills. Like, it's a new look Nets as well, too. So you already know that's why they are seemed and deemed as the favorites. But in terms of the Nets, the Warriors and the Lakers, the Lakers have a lot of new pieces, and they have a lot of talent, and they added a lot of veteran talent and just high caliber players, right? You got Dwight coming back, you got Carmelo, you got Russ, you still got AD, you still got Braun, right? You got Malik Monk, obviously he's injured. You got Wayne Ellington, Ariza. There's a plethora of guys, right? The list goes, Kendrick Nunn. The list goes on of, Rondo, good, above average caliber players, right? On that roster. Like, they're deep. It's a star-studded roster, and even the role players are actually above average role players, right? They're actually guys who, in their own situation, could kill. So the Lakers, obviously, anytime they play, it's gonna be, it's LeBron. Not only that, this type of team. So the media is gonna be there. The national coverage is gonna be there regardless. And the Warriors, Steph coming back, and you got a lot of these, Steph coming back, especially at that high caliber that they played last year. You still got Draymond, Poole advancing his game, which is elite. Clay's not there till Christmas or December time. But regardless, the Warriors basically could have won the play-in, right? But they got to that situation where they were the 8th seed. So now it's like, okay, they're back. Everyone improving. Clay can maybe come back. How are they going to look? So there's a lot of, anytime Steph is playing anyways, it's going to bring media coverage and national coverage. So those are the two games opening night. So we look forward to that. But this is not an opening night breakdown. This is not an opening night breakdown. What we here to talk about for real is definitely about the predictions for the East and the predictions for the West. Right, I'm gonna give my predictions, and obviously y'all could comment in the comment section. Really, we can really get after it, right? And obviously right now it's kind of like, okay, how do we look at this? How do we go about it, right? How what's going on here? What's X, Y, and Z? So when you look at it from that perspective, I know a lot of people have different types of lists. My list might be different than most, might be similar. You never know, but I'm going to give that IQ. That's what I do as to reasons why my prediction and why my standings are this way. And again, a disclaimer beforehand. You already know this is a prediction. Doesn't mean, it's going to be rare that someone gets each and every position or each and every, standing right. It's almost impossible. Now, you could get lucky and could get it, or you could have IQ. You never know. But I'm going to give my IQ behind why I did what I did. A lot of the times I'd like to do ranges because that's more fair. You never know, especially this is without injuries. You never know when injuries going to happen during the year, meshes, fits, all this type of stuff. So I'm trying to, kind of do my best and my due diligence to kind of foresee, right? But I'm not, I'm an oracle, but I'm not the oracle. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, all of this is just kind of just, it's a guessing thing, right? But I'm going to do my best guess at the end of the day. So let's start off, but I'm going to do my predictions differently. Normally, I kind of do one by one to where I go from the bottom from 8, but we're going to do playing as well too. So I go from the bottom from 8 or now 11 and go all the way to 1. We're not going to do it like that. I'm just going to throw on the screen the whole 1 to 11. And then from there, what kind of stands out and my reasons why for each kind of spot. I'm going to then just break it down fully and you'll see the image there. That way it's kind of like, okay, you can kind of see where my head is at. It's not this whole long game and, go through I'm not trying to finesse and make people just watch the video and go through, you know what I mean? You'll see it from the jump and then we'll talk about it and we'll go from there, right? So let's just get right into it. You already know I'm here to give you that context because I give you that context. Let's go straight right into it, boy. So you already know, straight up the gate with the East. It's kind of similar to last year's, but different at the same time. So here's my list right now. You got 1 to 11, and I know a lot of people, oh my God, what's going on? And I'm just gonna go out to what stands out that much. So first, my reasoning as to why I have the Bucks and the Nets 1 and 2. The reasons is obvious, right? The Bucks was 3 last year and the Nets were 2 last year, and the Nets were 2 with all those injuries. Mans didn't really play together. They didn't have Harden. They got Harden. Like, it was chaotic, and yet they still got the number 2 seed. So that already tells you that even without Kyrie coming in, right, why would they be any worse? They're going to be exactly where they are or maybe even better, right? Because, again, Harden, knock on wood, Harden and KD, if they're not injured, that's even them playing guaranteed. Before, they always had 2 out of 3 or 1. And now if you guaranteed have Harden and KD, and Harden's been durable up to last season, right? So if you fixed all his issues, what should tell you that Harden's not going to be guaranteed? Obviously, we know KD hasn't played a full season in a minute, but other than, those last 2 years, when has he had, ailing type of injuries where he's in and out? He's normally been playing consistently. The thing is, people have to always understand the year after the year you come back from the Achilles, you're not necessarily going to be your full self. So with KD not even being his full self, we saw what we saw. We saw what we saw. You know what I'm saying? So now the year after, which is this year, is going to be even more different. So I expect that. Obviously, the main thing for the Nets is injuries, right? You never want that. So I saw, preseason, I saw man's moving healthy. Obviously, there was Russ more so. But, that comes with it. So I expect them to be the 2nd seed or the number 2 seed again. They could maybe jump up, maybe go to 3. You never know because with this Kyrie situation. But I think they should be Gucci regardless. You get what I'm saying? The Bucks, I think that coming off a championship year, all those kind of, those smoke and mirrors or those kind of looming clouds over them or any type of, distress or, uncertain situations that kind of loomed around the Bucks have been answered, right? So now, even if it's not from the outside, internally, that they might have questions that they might have had for themselves, right? Kind of like, oh, can we, they've answered themselves. So now they have that weight off their cloud, that monkey off their back, and they should be fine-tuned. Drew had 1 year with them. In their 1 year, they won with him. So now you add in next year more comfortable, right? He's going to have more comfortability. He's going to, be more aggressive. Middleton now has passed that. Okay, what am I? What am I doing, right? He's been the one carrying. He's been the one in the clutch doing what he's supposed to be doing. So now that monkey is off his back, and now he's coming. Every man's coming with more confidence. Now you add Team USA, especially for Drew and Middleton, and they're with those guys, them ones. They're only going to get better. The guys who play Team USA normally snap the next year. So they're only going to get better. They're more solidified in what their identity is as the Bucks. Giannis, you've seen what he's been doing in terms of he changed and tweaked his jump shot, tucked his elbow a bit in more. It's more fluid and more quicker and more natural. You know what I'm saying? So he has a little minor tweaks in terms of his jump shot. And if you really hoop, you know what minor tweaks really do, right? How it really does. Not only that, he actually succeeded and got the ring. So he has the biggest monkey off his back. So now he has no worries. He's going to come out shooting, step backs. He's going to come out with shimmies. He's going to come out with a whole new arsenal and a whole new ability. And he kind of had the base there, but he wasn't really confident enough to pull it in dire moments, pull it in the biggest situations, right? And now he's been in those situations. So what? I have no worries. I'm comfortable. So now he's going to do it. That 50-point game, game 6 game, that was everything. So when you look at it, Giannis is he's going to be even more of a different beat and more of a guy who's like, okay, I already didn't fear nothing, but now I've succeeded with all my failures. Now it's really over. So that's a scary sight to see, right? Especially if he actually fixed his shot for real and he could shoot like 36, 38%. His free throw can go to 70. This man could average like an easy 35. I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? Easy. Like, because he's already getting 25 off paint domination. Now you add a one, maybe he adds 2 threes per game. You know what I'm saying? What does that go like? Dog. That right there is 31. You know what I mean? That, and you add, like, come on now. And people, it's not like he's getting these shots are contested because he's so brolic in the paint. You have to sag off. So that's the crazy thing with guys like this that are so dominant in the paint. You can never play them tight from 3, regardless. Even if they were a sniper, you can't really do it because they can just get to the paint at will. So you're going to have to pick your weakness, pick your poison, give them the shot, if anything. And so if he's able, and he's not shooting contested shots, Giannis, right? Like, he's not going to be shooting that because it's going to be open. So all he has to do is hit open shots. If he can hit 2 open shots, which he's very capable of, if he tweaked his shot, that makes a huge difference. That changes everything. And now he might even get to the paint even more. Like, it's just, you know, it's basically Pandora's box with that one. Like, the can of worms going to open up for real. So we'll see how that transpires. Remember, a preseason, again, is different. You have to apply it in the season and playoffs, etc. But, you know, coming off of what he came off of with the championship and the finals MVP, the confidence is for real. So, you know, I rate Giannis's mentality always, so I expect him to always advance his game. And he hasn't even really entered his prime if you really pay attention, right? So, like, come on now. Let's really understand that. So that's already the Bucks is, for me, I think is guaranteed number 1 seed. I think, you know, they probably will be even separated maybe 5 games from the Nets because, you know, they're just going to, is auto wins, man. I'm telling you. So we'll see how that transpires. But that's my reasons for 1 and 2. Now, if we look at it from 3, 4, 5, right? So we look at, I got Bulls, Heat, Knicks. The reason why I got the Bulls, you already saw, I know it's preseason, but I already kind of anticipated it coming in. The only thing that now in real season play is I'm still have to wait and see how the DeRozan dynamic is in terms of floor spacing, right? You know, DeRozan, he don't be shooting threes that much. He's a mid-range killer. But if that means he has to have the ball. But if Lonzo's there as a point guard, so if they had no Lonzo there, LaVine and DeRozan could apply a Kawhi and a PG type of bag where they're always basically ball dominant and they're basically running PNR and they're killing and they're having the ball and they're facilitating, and then the point guards are spotting up like a Reggie Jackson and getting in situations, but they're kind of, you know, play initiating and getting through their sets. That would be LaVine and DeRozan. But when you add Lonzo Ball, who's now trying to establish himself and get into his point guard play, finally be an actual point guard. He's never really been able to ball handle for real. He's had Ingram always, you know, affecting him. And then when he was with, he had LeBron and he had other guys. And even he had Bledsoe and he had, who was there before that? My brain. Sorry, Drew Holiday was even there before that with New Orleans. So he always had multiple play initiators that affected him, his usage rate, and he had to spot up. And that's why you saw him shooting a lot of threes and working on his 3-point game. Now he has that 3-point game that he worked on that he definitely improved, added with the fact that now I'm going to ball handle and play make and we're going to push it. And you already know he has defense. So that's the reason why I'm like, okay, I have to look at how DeRozan is going to kind of mesh. We already know Vuk is nice. LaVine is going to get buckets regardless. He already established himself. That was just very important. Before DeRozan came, that last year, it played out perfectly. Like that last year where LaVine averaged 27 and became like the face of the Bulls. He already was, but he became an all-star and showed himself as, okay, he's actually one of them ones. And he's been like that if you've been paying attention. But now, for real, on a national stage, he did it. That's where you're like, okay, he's going to get his buckets regardless. Because you look, he gets 1-2 middies, but he's really a sniper from the 3, shot creating 3 sniper, right? That's what he really is. And then he gets to the paint at will. You already know he's literally a full 3-level athletic scorer. Like he literally is that. So when you look from that, he's never going to be limited. Like he could score off the ball, on the ball cuts. It don't matter, right? Ball handling, PNR. He unlimited arsenal. But then DeRozan, the 3-point game is where the limited arsenal stops, right? That's where it's limited. So him spacing the floor wouldn't matter if he was ball handling, like I said, with no Lonzo. But now you have Lonzo, you have Caruso, you have actual point guards. We didn't even see Kobe White, right? You have actual ball handling guards. DeRozan can't really just ball handle all day, every day. He has to spot up a lot too. He has to play off the ball. So if he's not at the 3-point line or he's not hitting threes, Mans can shrink the floor, and that changes how the Bulls want to run their offense. That changes how the Levine Vukovic pick and roll really is. That changes how Lonzo Ball Vukovic pick and roll really is, or the Ball Levine pick and roll, because Mans can shrink the floor. So these are things that you have to pay attention to, and that can limit into or turn into 1-2 losses versus, the higher or the better teams. Like where they're game planning, okay, force DeRozan to shoot threes. Like, you don't know how that's gonna play out. So that's where I'm kind of waiting to see that. But even then, in regular season, how many times do Mans really actually focus on you off a back-to-back? The good thing now is it's 82 games and it's more spaced out and it's not more crammed as it was for the last 2 years. So that will help game planning. That will help the product and the productivity and the actual intensity of games, right? Man's actually like paying attention. Man's game planning. Man's, they have more time because the games are more spaced out, all that type of stuff. So that should affect in a positive direction in terms of the league. So again, that's where you might see more intense games. Mans are trying off the gate. That's what you see in preseason. Wasn't really preseason. Even though it was preseason, Mans was trying, fam. Mans was diving. Like, Mans know how, like, this season, the kind of how it's gearing up to be. People know the magnitude and kind of like the impact this season can really have, and how, like, okay, this season's about to be a real season. Like, Mans is healthy. Like, these teams, like, we feel like we have a shot. Bear teams feel like that. Bear teams have made some moves and stuff like that. So, like, Mans is gearing up. So Mans feel like, yo, for real, I could, and a lot of teams feel like that. So that's why you see Pat Mans taking this serious, because you have to, establish an identity and establish a blueprint and establish a type of work ethic that you're going to establish and that you want to be really for real under, right? So that kind of, is going to be the trajectory for this season. So I could expect an epic season in terms of just the play and intensity. I can expect that. And, when you look at that, that's why I'm like, okay, the Bulls, I just know defensively they're going to be solid. I've seen a lot of things that I know will translate from preseason already, and just kind of what I expected going in. But there's kind of on 1-2 things we didn't really get to see them in those waters because they've been blowing out everybody. But regardless, I think they'll be a 3 seed, and that's my reasons for them, right? I'm trying to go as quick as I can because I don't want to make the video too long. The Heat, Lowry coming to the Heat. You already know Jimmy Butler. Obviously, last year, where were they last year? Last year, I think they were the 6th seed. They were the 6th seed, and they faced the Bucks, and they obviously got swept. And or was it swept? 5 games? I think it was a sweep. Yeah, they obviously got swept, and it all changed just from that one game winner from Middleton in game 1. If it wasn't a game winner, we never know if the Bucks would have been the Bucks that they would be, right, or that they are now, right? And it really came down to that. They actually got over the hump, and from there, the demons came off their back, and they really just went full-fledged, guns blazing. So, the Heat were a 6th seed, and now you add Lowry to the mix. I think they're only going to get better. They did lose Iguodala, but, they still have their core and everything together. You add Lowry, you add a couple 1-2 more pieces, and I think now this one, I might be wrong. I'm assuming they will go to the 4th seed. Just adding Lowry in terms of just, veteran leadership. You already know how Lowry is in terms of making the team better. So I think that will jump them from 6 to 4. But the Knicks also got better. But that's the reason why, too, I see they jump up, because the Sixers is kind of looming. I don't know what's going on with them. I think even the Hawks could go to 4. Like this one, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 4 to 8, I think is interchangeable with these 8 teams. Like even the Celtics could be 4, right? Like I really don't have a kind of clear picture of who's guaranteed. The 1 through 3, that's what my clear picture says, guaranteed. I'm even doing the Bulls a favor by jumping them over the Heat, stuff like that. But the Bulls just, the running gun and just the kind of play style, their play style fits. Like their play style literally fits the analytic play, as well as now you have a guy that could just get you mid-range whenever in terms of DeRozan, right? So they have all 3 levels kind of figured out. Right there, 3 and paint is already guaranteed. You have Vuk, who could shoot threes too, but he can go into the paint. Man's in transition. They have fast up-tempo play, right, too. And then they have defense who's going to create more turnovers, which means there's more transition play, which is why you saw blowouts in preseason. They have like a Bucks type of blueprint, but with more shot creating in terms, right, off the jump in terms of those years that they were dominating, right? So when I look at it, I'm like, I could just see the Bulls I could just see them 3 seed, you know what I mean? But again, like I was saying, the Heat, the Knicks, the Sixers, Hawks, and Celtics are the 5 that I don't really, it's not clear ground where, okay, this person is going to be here, X, Y, and Z. If I had to assume this, what would be my kind of prediction, but it could change. The Sixers, the reason why they dropped to me for 6 is this Ben Simmons saga. I don't know if Ben Simmons is actually going to try, or if he does try, like, I don't know, right? Because I'm like, Ben Simmons like, obviously he wants his stock to go up, but the thing for Ben Simmons, if he plays too well, why would they trade him? If he plays too doo-doo, why would they trade him? But you know what I mean? So it's kind of like he's in one of those situations where it's like, I don't know how it's going to play out. All depends from how Ben is going to take it. We've seen him in training camp already, like looming around, just going through the motions. Like if he's doing that on the court and being anus on purpose, maybe he does that so they're losing and they have to trade him. That might be his best bet. Play so garbage that they're 500 type of thing. There's like, yo, this is not working. Trade this nigga. Right? That's similar to like Harden, even though Harden was actually killing, but he did look overweight. Like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, okay, he's creating turmoil. Maybe Ben is going to create turmoil OD and force the trade, right? That's going to affect the Sixers record guaranteed. So that's why I just put them 6 just off the strength of that. I don't see Ben Simmons just going out the gate snapping. Because if he does that, they wouldn't trade him because that would make them be the number 1 seed. That's what sussed them last year because they could have traded Ben Simmons for James Harden. Houston actually wanted Ben Simmons, right? Because his stock was high, defensive player, like he was killing in terms of how he could kill. He maximized what he could do playing with Embiid in that year, in that regular season, right? He was maximizing because he's going to be hindered with a guy who's holding the paint with you, right? So then off the bench, then Dwight Howard is a guy holding the paint. Like he's always playing with a paint dominant guy, even though Embiid can space out on 1-2, but it's not like he's just living out on the 3-point line. He's still in the paint and on the block and ISOing. You know what I mean? That's what he's doing. So he maximized that situation, right? In terms of what he could do. Almost defensive player of the year. He still got his all-star, was averaging like 15, 16 points. He was still killing, right? And they were number 1 seed. That a maximized situation. And yet they didn't trade him. Why? Because they're like, yo, we feel like we could win. An organization who's been waiting to win, when they're in a maximized situation and they're winning, they're not going to break it up and trade. They're going to try and win. Given the context of trust the process. If it was someone else, they might trade and still go through that whole, trade and get better. Even if it's not this year, the next season, they might go through that. But a team that has been getting ridiculed for the trust the process, this don't work. When your process is finally working in your number 1 seed, you're going to ride it out. So again, this year, if they're number 1 seed and Ben Simmons is snapping again, why would they trade him? So that's why I'm like, I don't think that's why you can see Ben Simmons is not going to take that road. He wants to get out for real. For him to, go through this, he's not going to go through it if he doesn't want to leave. So he wants to leave. So he's going to do the reverse, the opposite of the spectrum, and he's going to play anus, maybe get a 1-2 loss and force the trade that way. So that's going to drop the record, like I said. So that's why I see them, they might even drop lower, maybe even 7, maybe even 8. You don't know, but I just give them the benefit of the doubt because of Embiid as an MVP candidate type of player. So maybe that gives them the 6. But the Knicks have improved a lot. They've got Kemba. The Knicks' issue was scoring, right? Derrick Rose had to even, basically carries. Rose and Randle, they still had shooting, but how could you get shots if men aren't penetrating and creating to open up the shot for the Bullocks and all the other guys, right? Bullock was the main guy who was only really shooting. RJ Barrett struggled a little bit with shooting, but he looks like his shooting has improved, especially from what I've seen. Him and Poole and RJ have taken jumps. You could see it, right? Shot creating in the gaps and stuff like that. Randall obviously is going to improve because he doesn't like the fact that he was able to just get double teamed a lot because he's the main scorer. They had great defense, but they couldn't score, and that was the issue. You seen that in the Hawks series. So now you add scoring. You add Fournier who could shoot. You add Kemba who can create and do whatever he was doing. And remember, the Kemba you saw in Boston was an injured Kemba. You're going to see a more healthy Kemba, so it's going to be completely different. Then you still got Derrick Rose, right? You still got your guys that you already had. You might have lost Bullock, but you replace the Bullock with the Fournier in terms of threes, right? So you still got the shooting, you still got your core, you still got the same team with great additions. So I think that's going to improve. Remember, last year they were 4th seed. They dropped mainly in my thing to 5th seed. I still could have them where the Heat is in my standings, but the Bulls kind of overtake their jump that they would take. And then I think the Heat with that Lowry move might have overtook them. I think the Knicks might be better than the Heat, maybe. But I'm giving the Heat the benefit of the doubt because they were nice. They just struggled with having that Lowry might make a huge difference. So that's where I'm giving Lowry the benefit for real of the doubt, because I've seen him make a huge impact with the Raptors. So if I follow that trajectory and Butler and him together, that could even make more of an impact in terms of winning and fleshing out onto the team. So, Knicks and Heat are interchangeable to me. The Hawks, I think, should have improved as well too, but it's just unfortunate that I think other teams have made bigger jumps than they did. Their jump more so is just, they're the same team. Basically, their jump is more so experience, right? Their experience can maybe make them jump more so further than, right, other people. But again, it's just, where could I put people? So that's where I'm, the Hawks. I even think the Celtics are going to be underrated too, and I think they could do good. That's why I said 4 to 8. I kind of don't know where. I don't have it solidified, right, from 4 to 8 in terms of, right, in terms of the East. So the Celtics could even jump up. But if I had to just, pinpoint it, that's my logic between all of that, because other teams are just hierarchy better than you in terms of my eyes. That's why you fall by default. But it doesn't mean they can't overtake and they can't have a better season. So, the Hornets, the Hornets at 9, yeah, Hornets / Wizards, I have them at 9, meaning one of them is at 9 and then at 12. So 9 or 12. So either if the Wizards are at 9, I think the Hornets now would be 12 and they're out of the play-in. But if the Hornets are 9, then the Wizards, like, I have one of them having a 9 seed. I don't have both of them in the 8 to 11. I have one of them, right? And so that one kind of, if I had to guess, I can't even guess that. It's too close. I can't make a decision. That's the one part I'm not gonna make a decision. One of them though is 9. They're gonna make a jump to 9. One of them, but I don't know who it is. The Pacers are guaranteed. They're always gonna be around that 10. They'll be in the plane, even though it could be Hornets 9-10. But the Pacers, I just trust them too much. They're kind of like the Spurs. You just trust them too much. You can't take them out. But because it's the East, it's the Pacers, so I kind of just leave them in because they still have all-stars on their team, right? In terms of the Spurs, I'll talk about that later. But, the Raptors I have at the 11. I know a lot of people are going to, oh my God, you have the Raptors so low and whatever. Like, honestly, I do have OG jumping, having a big impact and taking that next leap. I'll talk about that in a later video. So stay tuned for that. But it's just losing Lowry. Like, even with Lowry, even with what they had, they still were 11. Now, it does do benefit that they do go home, so that might give them a couple more wins, as opposed to their home court wasn't really home court last season due to COVID, right? They played in Florida, but, or Tampa Bay, sorry. Well, it's the same shit. But, basically, them losing Lowry, I think it will hurt them. Now, regardless, even if they had Lowry, how much could they do? So this is not like, oh my God, you should have kept him. I wasn't of that. That's why I wanted them to trade him for real. But they kind of did a sign and trade, so it worked out whatever, because Lowry niced them, but he didn't have to. But they did a sign and trade, and obviously they have Dragic and whatever and all that type of stuff. But, when I'm just looking at them compared to other teams, not like them individually, like, I know they could get better and I know they could have impact in terms of just, individual. I'm looking forward to individual guys. Like, I'm looking out Fred's gonna improve. I'm looking at Gary Trent. I'm looking at OG, especially Pascal when he comes back. Like, I'm looking at Scotty. Like, I'm looking at these type of individual guys. But as a team overall, like, I just don't see them getting an eighth seed up. I just don't see it. I even saw them being. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I think being 8th seed. I think last year. But I already saw them, like, not making the playoffs last year. I already knew it. And I just, I told people, I heard on my channel, I've said it before, and I was kind of one of the odd ones saying it, but, people roasted me beforehand or whatever, and now they didn't get it. And now it was kind of like, oh, Banks, this reason. I'm like, yo, this is why I said how the free agency and how that all was played out. I always thought it was going to hurt them. It was going to bite them. I knew they weren't going to get no Giannis. I knew they weren't going to get no Kawhi. I knew they weren't going to get the big names. That's why I said the guys like Christian Wood, if you actually went for them, and I know they didn't. They went for the Freddie and they went for, the Ibaka, and that's what they did. When you knew you could only get one of them, then the other guys went off the board. You didn't go for those guys, right? The under the radar guys that you could throw big money at, as opposed to keeping the money for someone you're not going to get. And that's the mistake I always said. And now they're going to be mediocre or under par for a while before, like they have to kill in the draft for a while and play the Houston game. That's what they have to do, right? And or play what Boston used to do, but before they got the Tatum, right? So that's what they're kind of in. So I just don't see them, being like hella elite or even being mediocre or AFC that, or I don't even see that. Maybe they get lucky and they win throughout the play-in, but chances are it's better to just be 11, 12 and get like you got the Scotty Barnes pick, try and get that shit again. Get that, get those type of picks again, and then eventually you make an impact and maybe trade for a star or something. You know what I mean? That's the route you're playing. That's the Raptors route for the end of time. Mans are just coming to Toronto like that. So that's the trajectory they always got to play. So that's my reasons and that's my list. Obviously, the season's going to start and breakdowns will continue. Everything will continue. You already know how it is. So again, spread the word. This is my reasons for my standings. I tried my best because it's really difficult, man. This season is going to be a great season. I think this season is going to be better than the last 2 seasons. Fans out there from the jump, you know what I mean? And, I just think the intensity spaced out, like, in terms of games, I think the intensity will increase back again. So I'm waiting. I'm excited. I'm excited for this season, man. Stay tuned. Spread the word. Tell a friend, do all of that you got to do. So now we're going to go to the West standings and we're going to go through that as well, too. So click that video. You already know. And we out to the next one.